Yep.
Welcome one and all to Jesters Court News. For the Elite Eight recap, we are standing in front of the Roman Coliseum, directly referenced by Kopy in one of the coin tosses this week. And as you can see, the Improv arena is scathed with scars of genius improvisational comedic antics. And tonight we break down which of the Elite Eight will now become the Final Four. Yes, we're ready for coverage, but as we do, let's bring in the king himself, the head of the entire Coliseum. It's Kopy! Yes, as a news reporter, I now make gigantic ring announcer-like entrances. I'm very multi-talented. I'm going to turn this off. Kopy, sir, what a week for us. Seeing these 4 games happen was such a treat. You must feel proud of all of the improv played this week, because it just kind of keeps getting better, if you ask me. And I loved it. What do you say?
Yeah, I think we're at a point where we don't have to nitpick anymore, and we don't have to say that, if I could have done this better in this moment, maybe this would have been, we could have. I don't think we're at that point anymore. I think now we're at a point where it's just, let's go out and do what we do and put on the best show we can, and we're getting good results. So that's what's cool for me this week, and what I enjoyed the most about these 4 shows.
There's a lot of remarkable identities now blossoming from these various teams. You really see them settle into truly what they're doing and their patterns. And yeah, I think that's what you're going to need to do in order to advance, is to have that identity, stay true to it, and push yourself. And I think all the teams really rose to the occasion. And so, I can't wait to break it down. Of course, we're all marching towards a championship day with just a few more rounds left between us and that. And Kopy, you let some news break just recently on YouTube that I think brought a tear to all of our eyes watching and feeling it with you. Tell us a little bit about the changes to Championship Day.
Yeah, so the announcement was just simply that Championship Day right now cannot happen in person. And I kind of gave at least just the very quick and easy version of that. So um, completely, for the most part, out of my control, and almost had nothing to do with us. I mean, it's the way of the world right now, and just the circumstances. So if it still can change, I mean, it's there, it's ready, and we can shift on a dime, and I will. But right now, that's the unfortunate side. The beauty of the unfortunate side, because as one door closes, one always opens, are some of the ideas that we came up with for how to do this virtually.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually really excited. I am always excited to try something new, and especially when it comes to this world. And that's what this whole year has been. So that's maybe how I've been trucking along so well.
Yeah.
But Championship Day, the All-Star show this year is actually going to include judges, or excuse me, I'm ahead in my steps. It's going to involve coaches. Coaches are going to be a part of how to facilitate and work with these All-Stars.
Awesome.
And even before I should have said that, I should have talked about the fact that it's all going to be live. So everything we do on Championship Day is going to be live. The All-Star show, the awards, the championship, nothing's going to be pre-recorded. We're going to do it live.
That's
now, this is a lot to coordinate and put together. So if that part changes a little bit, don't be too mad. But hey, we've been pre-recording stuff all year, but I'm working on it. I got it. Live is the goal. So yes, the All-Star show is going to have coaches included. You're gonna meet some new people from other schools, all of you All-Stars, and you're gonna actually turn into a little mini team for the day, and work with probably a new coach that you don't know.
That's awesome.
Right, which is brand new, and I think this idea is what has allowed that to happen. Like, I almost want to find a way to do this again, just because how cool that concept is.
Cool.
The actual awards, this year, which are always such an emotional, beautiful part of every day. I hate the idea of an award winner not being able to actually receive their award and have their moment. So we are going to send out our Jesters pep squad, our Jesters hosts and most recognizable loved faces, which of course has to be Roman, and then of course now at this point Marley Steinlein of Burkhart / Palo Verde. and they're actually going to go and physically deliver the awards to the winners. So we're going to watch all that happen live. We're going to watch them knock on the winner's door, and the winner realize their door is knocking and that they are going to be the actual winner. That will all be coordinated and laid out on championship day 2. And then of course the actual championship itself, which is kind of what this is funneling into. It's our 2 final teams competing to see who is going to be our champion. And think about it for just a second, but for all the past 12 years and all the years moving forward in the future, this is gonna be our only champion that did it all completely virtually. Like, this is gonna have such a unique I don't know, asterisk, or this is gonna have such a unique highlight in our record books of who actually wins this year because of how different and difficult this year was. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked to get that live and to be able to make those calls. I wonder if my whistle still works.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. If not, you can have my bell. I like, never mind.
Yeah.
I'm sure your whistle will be fine. But that's exciting.
Right. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about these ideas, and I'm actually going to be live. I'm going to be streaming live from the space, this place where we were going to do it in person.
Yep.
They have a wonderful setup there. I'll be on a stage. I'll actually be doing it live with you guys. So, and then knowing me, I have got more tricks up my sleeve, and I'm going to try and attempt to do more things to make it even cooler.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's basically start blocking off your mornings and early afternoons that day. Organize your watch parties, do whatever it is that you want to do, but let's have some fun together.
It's going to be so special. Every championship truly is special, and honestly, after what this year has been, it's almost an exciting challenge to make it just as special in a virtual world. And it's one that I know you're going to take on and totally nail, Kopy, because you've done it for the last 11 years, making these events feel life-changing. And I think that I think that just from what you laid out with me as the plan, I think you've done an amazing job making it unique and helping it feel differentiated from what we've just got done doing. The idea of 4 kids and 4 kids with you in the middle live via virtual means, sure, but live is something that I think all of the league should look forward to, because truly we'll finally be interacting 2 teams at the same time for a whole show. And that is what I think at the end of the day we're all kind of looking forward to anyway, from a, at least from a critical standpoint. Like, I love watching improv, and when it's live and it's these kids going at it, boom, haha, so much better. So it's going to help a lot. So thank you, Kopy, for everything you've done to help pivot and find ways to move this forward. I know the Jester staff is working so hard to help put that into motion, and kudos to every single one of the people behind the scenes, whether it's Song or Corey or Josh or Roman. You guys are all a big, humongous part of this, and we thank you so much for what you're doing to pivot. It's a big deal. So stay tuned. And now, Kopy, why don't we turn our attention to the 8 that are elite? There are 8 teams left in this league. They went toe-to-toe in excellent improv yet again for our entertainment, and it's time to break down whom are going to be advancing to our Final Four.
Well, let's tell everyone who's responsible for that advancement.
Exactly. The judges have mattered every single week, so yet again, it's important for us to know who's scrutinizing the fun this time. And you've gotten some really amazing people to come on and help with this thus far. I'm sure you didn't pull any punches going into week 3. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, not at all. I actually really thought about the combination this week as far as judges go.
Sure.
As far as what brains together could help make sure that the right teams are advancing and getting the scores that they deserve. So I kind of lucked out with who I picked. I've got 4 people here that are really close to my heart. So it was really nice for me to be able to do this with them. So starting off first with our first judge.
Oh gosh, old Cup of Joe himself. Go ahead.
Yep, this is Pete Jeffries. Pete Jeffries has a nice long history here in the Jesters world. As a coach, he has coached 2 teams to 2 championship runs. He's coached a 3rd to a Final Four run. He's kind of, in his 5-6 years as a coach, he's done a lot. MVPs, award-nominated performers each year. Pete's kind of built quite a little legacy for himself. This year, doing it online was not in the cards for Pete.
Hmm.
But as a judge, I thought I mean, we had to have him at some point. And
Yeah.
yeah, we had to have him in here at some point. So this seemed like the right round and the right time to bring in Pete to try and make some choices.
I love Pete watching improv at this stage of this because he does have a wealth of knowledge. He comes from a long form background and has transitioned a lot of students into really adapting the storytelling methods into short form that he's known for most of his improvisational career. He's shrewdly funny, a straightforward kind of guy. And especially because I started my coaching career with him at Valley all those 7 years ago. And I know Pete's big for this league, and I'm excited that he's here. So awesome. His
Yeah.
opinions will matter.
So, in trying to think of a partner to work with him on judging, that I exclusively had Pete and this person judge together,
Uh-huh.
I wanted someone who had a different brain, but at least there was a connection between them. So, I chose this person as his partner judge, and that is,
Oh, yes, of course. His former pupil, Chris Ann Smith. I miss Chris Ann. We all do. Big part of our staff in the past, as well as an amazing performer. Go ahead, Kopy, break it down.
yeah, Chris Ann was huge for us as a staff, as a league. I mean, Chris Ann definitely left her mark here. Um, as a stage manager for what she did for Park, as a performer, she's now off at USC, chasing that Hollywood dream and doing that kind of thing. And she's someone who will never understand her full potential, because
Mm,
her brain's always kind of a mile ahead, and she's
mm.
always, she knows what to do, when to do it, how to do it. She's insanely intelligent. I'm super happy I've had a chance to work with her all these years, and she's truly a good friend. So this was cool to get Pete and Chris Ann back together, because I do know how different their brains are, but they do have a connection. They have worked together plenty. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely great choice to compliment Pete. And wonderful to know that we'll be hearing from her judging views during this week's breakdown. That's awesome.
so then moving forward, I made another pairing. So in a different pairing, we also had
Yay. I was waiting for Sydney to come hang out. That's awesome. Coach Sydney Trevant. Am I saying the name correctly?
Tresvant, but close enough.
I'm the worst. I'm the worst. I always forget those silent consonants. Go ahead.
Sydney here, also a very rich history with us as a performer. She was an award nominated performer. She got to play in a championship, main stage performer. And then immediately in her first year as a coach, she led a team to a Final Four. Coach for several years, a stickler, aggressive. There is no fluff when it comes to how Sydney works. So Sydney's meant a lot to this league, and just being able to work with her all these years. I was her first coach. I
Yep.
was Sydney's very first coach when she first started. So to transfer all these years later and still be able to do this kind of stuff with her is pretty cool. Sydney's off to law school, man.
Oh, I
So
don't doubt it.
she's
Oh,
going to New York this summer, and she's been accepted into like 10 law schools. Um, couldn't be any more proud of her.
I would not be in a courtroom across from Sydney. Sydney's got ferocity that we are not being sugar covered about. Like this is quite an intense, but intelligent, fun-loving, wonderful kind of person to be around because of how much they just give without even trying. Sydney does that, and I loved watching Sydney grow from just another could be most improved player nominee to just being an absolute bomb on stage, wrecking teams left and right with her amazing style of improv, and then translating that into a basic squad that still remembers how to tell stories because of Coach Sydney.
Right.
And that's
Still
just
there, right?
crazy. Yes, still, absolutely, Sydney left her mark there in that program, and it is awesome. Awesome to know that she's getting to see her own kind of seeds continue to blossom by watching Basics game this week. Can't wait to see how that shakes down. All right. Awesome. What?
Then the last judge, which if I'm trying to find a pair for Sydney, it was only natural that I bring in
Oh.
Mr. Brandon Green.
Oh man, this one makes me the happiest of them all. Jolly Green, our original league MVP, one of an original league champion as a member of Del Sol, way back when we were young men, weren't we, Kopy, sorta?
Yeah.
And here he is, doing great, looking great, working hard on his projects, and lending his awesome creative insight to what these kids are doing. I have so much love for Jolly Green, and I think we all do. Anybody who's met him just love this guy's over the top ability to make anything even funnier and larger than life. Cool. In your own words, of course, tell us why you love the Jolly Green.
Well, I mean, he was the first. That first year in the league, the two people you talk about are Sam Elton and Jolly Green, and
Mm-hmm.
um, he got the MVP that year. He helped win the championship that year for Del Sol. And since then, he's just been kind of tearing up the improv world, and he's never left our side. So Greeny is the only performer in our league history to win a championship and coach a team into another championship show. So,
Ooh.
which is a really fun, unique stat, right?
I'll say,
Um,
absolutely.
so getting him to judge, and then opposite Sydney, which he was also Sydney's coach at once upon a time as well. Being able to get them to work together, where I know their brains are very, very different,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even though they do have that connection together. That was cool. It was cool to be a part of these two pairings this week in our judging.
Wonderful to hear. And these pairings do sound awesome. I'm excited to advance forward into our breakdown of what the prov actually shook down to look like. And as we get ready to do so, I mean, do you have any general impressions you want to throw my way? Anything that you want to say to the league one more time as a group of 8 before we start saying, sadly, goodbye to some very, very strong and lovable teams?
I mean, if you guys didn't see from my announcement earlier in the week I mean, every little thing catches me at some point, and I truly learned at some point that sometimes you got to stop and smell the roses, but you also have to create a world where smelling those roses is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's even better, and so this league constantly gives me roses, and it's hard not to just I don't know, embellish and live in it.
Yeah.
So you guys are doing that for me all the time, and even with these judges, man, I'm looking at people that have meant so much to this league and to my life. I mean, even Sydney and Chris Ann, like that is even when we don't talk, then the second we talk again, that love is still there and so strong, and
Yeah.
they're off doing their own thing in the world, but that connection will always be there, and that's what this league does, just over and over and over and over again. So you teams that haven't played in a few weeks, I genuinely miss all of you.
Yeah.
Um, so championship day, I'm so ready to see some of you I've seen in a couple of weeks. I'm sad that we're going to say goodbye to 4 teams today. But this is what makes this league better. What makes us all stronger is the process. So
Yeah, and I think you said it great. I think the connections that this league builds with people are lifelong. It's been a beautiful example of why so many faces have been able to come back and support Jesters this year, even in these times. And you all who are part of this are forever a legacy. I just need to go ahead and point behind me to my television where on that TV we have over 100 hours of improv that's going to sit there for the rest of your lives if we can, and if it's allowed to, and why not, to just sit there so you can go back and relive these memories. For the first time ever, our entire season is cataloged virtually for people to see and look back on and remember. I was part of that year, that one year. I get chills thinking about how special it is that we are all sitting here, and how special every team leading up to this moment, including the ones we've already said goodbye to, have so much value, and that you're part of a family and a legacy. So it's tough to add 4 more teams to a pool of departing parties at this point. I'm super not looking forward to it because I think every team has got a couple people at the very least who mean the world to me as a viewer, as just an audience member. Like I'm just talking strictly as somebody who loves improv. So knowing their value for what they've done for the league as a whole too is just watch and stand and appreciate what you've done. It's something I hope that won't feel like a pitfall for anybody. But you know, let's see what happens, right? Are we starting from the bottom of the bracket perchance?
No,
Oh,
Kopy didn't
Kopy.
prepare that.
Well, Coach Dub feels queasy because walking into the Del Sol Green Valley matchup that we're probably going to have to talk about first, then, yeah, there it is. I wish you changed the order. You hate me. Watching this matchup happen in real life made me incredibly sweaty and nervous. I have utmost respect for what Green Valley has done this year with their players. I think, Rookie of the Year nominee Riley Wargo has been an amazing revelation for that club. We're going to miss them because they're a senior. We all know that, having watched these a couple times. I think Kiana Marshall's done a beautiful job letting her energy radiate out to the rest of her team and help them feel safer in that light that she offers. I think Rufus is a shrewd storyteller. I was thrilled to see him be captain this week. Fine, like that's a cool nod. I love that. Thank you, Coach Cameron, for doing that because Rufus has done a really cool job in the playoffs, especially kind of delivering in the moments that matter. So it was the right kid. And Isabella is somebody I submit my purest apologies for suggesting that Bella was the supporting glue because Isabella's been absolutely swinging ever since I mentioned that. And that didn't stop this week. This entire show had me on pins and needles. What stood out from Green Valley for you with this group?
They found their groove, somewhere in the middle of the season, and they kind of haven't stopped. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's been the Green Valley way. And maybe as a general league or the overall impression is you didn't see it coming, but you got to remember they played Northwest first and they got past that run.
Right.
Northwest has always been historically dominant here.
Right.
So I don't think they changed a thing in this. They closed for me in a really strong radio.
Yes.
Radio was something they did a couple of weeks ago too. That was just,
Yes.
had everyone talking, and here they are again.
Yep.
So they pulled out bartender again.
Mm-hmm.
They did plenty this week to show why they're in the Elite Eight.
Yes. Riley blew me away with in radio with the swerve, like actually got me on the second go around.
Oh,
I offered the suggestion and Riley ended up with it that they needed to be a shapeshifter who intentionally doesn't turn into what you expect. And the first go around, great idea, being a butterfly, but not really. And then second go around saying, oh, my mom made me actually tell you what I do great. So I'm going to tell you. And I was like, okay, well, that's a cool turn. I was like writing in my notepad and then boom, she's like, just kidding. And I was like, yes, such a cool choice.
right.
Rufus had a great radio too. It was really an honor to see him dissect the suggestion I gave of a teacher in Bikini Bottom explaining underwater physics. I just don't understand how the Goo Lagoon works, guys. I was just curious if somebody could teach me, and Rufus was the perfect guy to step into that role for me,
Right.
and really told some fun scene work there. And Isabella taking the fortune cookie writer suggestion that I gave and putting it in like a scary, like they're coming to get me kind of setting was so clever. And the insight she gave for her lines actually had value in those situations. And that was really clever. And Kiana being the auctioneer of household items, like, of course, that was going to be goofy and fast and silly. But I love that she, at one point, just broke down and cried and tried to sell her tears, right?
Right.
Like, good stuff. I really did like that radio, too.
There's a lot to learn from that radio. Anyone who hasn't seen it yet, like that's worth watching and just going, oh, so you can take an idea and you can do all of that with an idea. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely worth watching.
A game that as soon as I saw that, I was like, I knew that was going to be solid. And it sure was. But hopefully Del Sol said some solid stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's two-sided. All 8 teams had something to give this week, and that's what
Amen.
it is. In all these shows, we're splitting hairs. Like that's kind of the point we're at, is we're
Mm,
splitting hairs to see which team needs to advance on the scores and whatnot.
felt that
So
way. It's definitely sweating.
flipping it to your
Still sweating.
side, I mean, you were cut and paste an Evil Twin, Jeopardy, Parallel Universe. Jeopardy out of the gate. I mean, we talked right before we started just a little bit, and for me, Mia's very normal character in Jeopardy was such a good gutsy call. It reminds me of Allison from Arborview last week with just
Mm-hmm.
that simple sheriff. Just the confidence it takes to just be something that normal, to where a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we're seeing a lot of flighty, like all over the place things sometimes.
Right.
um, so yeah, I mean, we could do that top to bottom in all your games as well. So
Nice.
uh, I, if I'm going to give a nod all the way around, I talked to you about Speedy's Good Twin really stood out to me. I loved almost the. It's almost like you came into that scene without trying to be the good twin. That almost was the vibe you were giving off.
Mm.
And then when we switched to evil, I went, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that is how this game works, isn't it? Um, but then of course, when the evil and the good were switching, it was very evident. So that was a great moment for me, just to see the different approach to how to do good twin. That's what I love the most, is the different brains. And Speedy, you are a different brain, sir.
Yeah.
Um,
May
cut
I
and
on
paste.
that?
What's that?
May I say on that?
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'm very proud to have gotten Speedy into a playoff show. He's one of my vice presidents for our leadership team. He loves improv so much. He's waited 3 long years for a chance to play. And we all agreed it was time for him to have this opportunity. And I'm grateful to the kids for rallying around him. And honestly, we weren't planning on Speedy even being our good twin. And I want to say that because eventually his loquaciousness and his vocabulary and his wordiness just made it absolutely mandatory for me to go, hey, let's switch some gears here because I think he's ready. His brain's always been so present, alert, and capable. And I wanted to see him have that challenge. And I think he really soared beyond expectations for me. I was very proud of him. So I just got to say that, Speedy. Absolutely win or lose. I'm so proud you got to get into a show. And it was great to see Bella up there too, another person who's contributed around the league, who had a very strong show, absolutely all around. Kind of knew she would. But go ahead. Cut and paste you were starting to lead into.
Well, so before cut and paste started, the judges asked me, they said, how are you going to do this online? And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you got to remember, as all those nice, wonderful things I said about the judges earlier, that they still have zero online improv experience.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all new for them too. And for them not to know what the league has done with this game is, it's not their fault. But then you guys just did it very beautifully. So
Thank
I
you.
mean, right out of the gate, you double copied, and that's not even something I do in calls. I don't double
Mm-hmm.
copy out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I mean, you added some fun to it that they executed on right away.
Good.
So that was nice to see off the top.
Thank you.
If I go back to Jeopardy again, with Bella and Newspaper Boy
Mm-hmm.
character,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bella, I know you were kind of not a new discovery, but you've kind of had that discovery mode this year.
Mm-hmm.
Know that the judges were talking about you plenty.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it started with Newspaper Boy, and
Mm-hmm.
then Christian, man, how have you just been doing it? Just like the way you've been doing it all 4 years. Even just your reactionary character in Evil Twin, how important that is in that game. Just to
Right.
have someone to make the good and bad, or the good and evil, justified. Like, you need that so much. And yeah, that was definitely your role, sir.
When Mia lifted Christian up perspective wise
Right.
over their head and looked up at him and he looked
Brilliant.
down, there was a moment in me as a coach that almost wanted to cry because Christian has, I've said it before, I will continue to say it because he deserves every public place for me to give him respect. He's the life tree that our Del Sol team has blossomed from. He's the root of it all. And I say that because Mia, even an MVP candidate, came in purely because Christian was there. and joined my team and worked with us for 4 years because of Christian. So when Mia, of course, lifts Christian up and looks into his eyes as the person in this scene who's dominant and in control and doing something obviously in real life we would have never been able to do in a scene, it just would have looked awkward in physical situations. It had so much very cool power to me on a personal level that I'll remember that image and that choice for a very long time. I thought their chemistry has always been unique, and watching them really work their hardest in this playoff has been truly special. And I'm also proud of the fact we got 6 kids so far into these playoffs. So again, win or lose team, I'm so grateful. Always will be.
Well, it might be a fair time to announce who's advanced.
Oh, I'm so not ready. Hey kids, can I educate y'all on my history? I've been doing this for 7 years and I love coaching and I love watching students blossom into the storytellers they are, but I've never once made it past the Elite 8. I've gotten ousted before that with some really important kids in my life, and I'm really hoping that this is not going to be the same thing. So go ahead if you got them. I'm so sad that you started with this. Green Valley, if it's your time, you guys are amazing. I've loved everything about your chemistry. I think you're. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm so grateful.
You take your moment, sir. So Del Sol does advance into our final four. So next week we will have a final four showdown with Del Sol as a part of it, and we're going to find out here in a moment who those other 3 teams are that join Del Sol in that moment.
Coach Cameron, Green Valley, thank you for the show. Kids, you're so talented. Kiana, I'm sorry this is the end. Riley, I'm sorry this is the end. Isabella, Rufus, I think you both took moments to grab the baton and say, this is my team now this week. And you really showed up and did so much of the work that has been put into you proud. And you Gators are great. And thank you for your kindness. And congratulations on all you accomplished. And Dragons, we did it. We got another step to take. So good job. Thank you for everything. You kids made a lot of the decisions for me this week with who you are. So let's do it again. Let's see what happens. I'm so proud.
Let's do it again. And transitioning into our next Elite 8 matchup.
Thank you for taking all of the transitions for me there. Yes. ATECH and Spring Valley. So you want to talk about another Cinderella story, just like Green Valley was, as a shocker, some might say. I think Spring Valley has been a beautiful unit too, with a wonderful coach I spoke on last week. And so this one really intrigued me. ATECH has had a wonderful fountain of youth to draw inspiration from in MVP candidate Jonathan Perez. And across from them is a team that has proven over and over again how plucky and unique they are. And also, I want to point out the first thing I noticed is that Stool Kid decided to leave the stool. And if you don't know what I'm referencing, we've talked about M and a stool on which they perform week in and week out. And this week, boy, did M bring energy stepping down from there and just absolutely throwing every single glob of improvisational paint at the wall, really pushing in this show. Great to see. M, you're a gem for sure. And a great team around M as well. I've loved Gordon, especially in these playoffs, playing poised and very intelligently, making choices that may be lower in energy but have so much weight. And that's the unique brain I think he possesses and brings to the table with this chemistry. Kevin has been a wonderful captain, learned a lot, and has grown immensely, especially through these playoffs and fitting in with this group. And then Adina, what can you say about Adina? Another super sharp student who always seems to find almost a loophole, especially this week. I saw lots of loopholes that Adina was creating in these scenes. So up against an ATECH team.
That's Adina's brain.
I agree. I know. That's what I'm saying. Adina's so capable of finding like the left or the left or right turn you don't expect to a
Right.
character. And across from them, ATECH, I thought Jessica and Savannah brought their energy this week in a way I hadn't seen previously, and I loved it. I love seeing Sean back for ATECH. I couldn't help but ask Coach Son where the plan was on Sean a week ago, and so it was nice to see him here. And of course, Jonathan has been again doing it all year. One of those students who he was positively Jim Carrey like this week. I say that for like the utmost physical presence and utmost desire to just do whatever he felt needed to be done in the second to express, emote, or move forward just a little bit more. So this was going to be a scary matchup for me. What were some of your big takeaways going into this and of course coming from it?
Well, so these, putting the judging and the scoring aside for a second, I thought both teams took a step forward this week for sure. That just overall quality of play, just being sharp, being on top of things. I'll back Spring Valley huge to where I think they all made changes. I mean, the games they chose,
Uh-huh.
the camera positioning. I mean, it wasn't just the
Mm-hmm.
stool; it was everybody and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see Kevin's orange red room once. Um,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah, there were a lot of changed perspectives. Very good point. Everybody was in a
um,
different place this week, literally and physically.
late for work, we watched dart around the corner, and it just I think everything that they did this week was them saying, hey guys, we're in the Elite Eight, like we gotta play, like we gotta
Agreed.
take some
Agreed.
chances and let's play.
Yeah,
um
hunger.
so that's what was really cool for me. And all four games were just them stretching and saying, hey, we're playing to try and win this thing and advance.
I gotta say, quick soundbite right off the bat with your really cool coin toss on these two. I love the very good camaraderie kind of outcome of that coin toss and all. I literally thought M was eventually going to go for the kneecaps on this one. So I'm glad that didn't happen. And I love the little tagline you're teasing with. What do you think about sports divides, laughter combines?
Yep. Yeah,
Right?
that's it was something like that. I said what did I say? I said sports divide us, laughter connects us.
Right. And I
Um,
just thought I would throw in some
yeah,
vowels or
let's
whatever, but
hey CCSD, hear this? Um, so
savage eyebrows. Uh,
yeah, so yeah, I totally agree. And there are a couple of other small takeaways for me on that is, Gordon as a 4-year senior,
right.
Gordon had never won a playoff show until this year. And here's Gordon in the Elite Eight, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you students realize just how few people have like Final Four championship experience.
Right.
Like, yes, we highlight them, and I've talked about a couple of judges. We don't get the thousands of people who've been through this league.
Hmm.
Warren's been here 7 years. He just told you about how this is going to be his first trip to a Final Four.
Yeah.
So in Gordon's case, super cool for me to see him as a 4-year, get a couple of playoff wins, compete at this level.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a feel good for me on Spring Valley all the way around.
Oh, 100%. A program that's done the most blossoming this year almost. Now, Big Ari and that previous Spring Valley team, how deep did they get in previous years?
They made it to an Elite Eight once.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this would be a new plateau for this team, and that was a darn good Spring Valley team.
yeah.
So, and I think this year, especially this program should feel so proud of the way they've come off in this playoff. M is a total star. Gordon's behaved like one. Kevin's a fantastic glue piece, learning on the job and really growing as a rookie of the year candidate, right? And Adina absolutely can stand and deliver. So this is a group that should be very, very proud of themselves. Across from ATECH, which I just got to
And
say,
And before you close on Spring Valley,
Please.
I just want Kevin like in my life to just hula hoop and do Outcast song. I just
Hey, yeah, yeah. Yes.
that was so. All right, go ahead. Go to ATECH.
I will say that ATECH gave me a gift I didn't know I wanted my entire life, and it was to see an improv scene that included both The Grinch and Doctor Who. Um, and boy, that scarf, Jonathan, that you brought out for that Doctor Who turn truly made the moment. And just everything Jonathan did today, there was a strain of almost feral energy that you just can't coach. This is somebody who's got an amazing focus on making every moment count, and it was really fun for me to watch Jonathan just operate. But Savannah and Jessica both brought so much energy out this week. And Sean did exactly what I think Sean does. He stands and he sometimes says the simplest stuff, but he says it in a way that's entertaining. And that's just a great balance for this crew. You got 3 live wires because those two ladies around Jonathan were absolutely pushing themselves. And you've got somebody who's there to, like, cut the butter with the knife now that they've beat it up. And there were so many fun moments. Savannah's physicality again really shined bright in their miming take with late for work, right? Late for work. Sewer's on fire is such a clever miming method. I've been teaching my Del Sol kids miming all year, and as a stupid coach, I haven't even moved my own camera to face the floor. So, oops. That was great, Jonathan, to get your sewer suggestion. You kids worked so hard on those. Um, and a survivor that was teaming with energy too. I mean, what were some of your things to say about ATECH?
You, there are a couple of students this week especially that, and this happens sometimes, where we'll have a senior in the playoffs who is just doing the absolute best work that I've seen them do, and Savannah's in that mode right now. So watching Savannah in this show for me was making me go, man, I wish I had more Savannah time. And I
Mm,
don't just mean another week if they advance. I just mean, like, gosh, is Savannah really operating on all cylinders? And I know at least Savannah, you don't believe anything that I'm saying right now, but you got to know that this was a really good performance by you all the way around.
mm-hmm.
And then yeah, that chemistry that you and Jonathan have, like, you bounced off each other so well. Like
Yes.
that control and late for work is everything you want when you're working in a pantomime style game.
Mm-hmm.
So and you guys just did that pretty fluidly. So especially with the disconnect of how pantomime online is working.
Right.
And then yeah, you translate that all over. Sean has magic, and we've known that since the day we met Sean, and we
Right.
got to see a lot of that. Jessica, we know, has been powerful. That's why Jessica keeps getting these opportunities, is because we know what Jessica can do. And then Jonathan, man, like, way to close out that survivor. Like, you just
Oh,
know
yeah.
what buttons to press, and you're pressing every single one.
I said you should be winded when Survivor is over if you're the sole survivor, even if you take your time to milk it, which I think Jonathan did. He took his time and every second to really play it up, like I was mentioning earlier. Just every moment meant something. There was a sound effect he made to reference it. There was a note to a previous line that was said that he referenced. I mean, every single thing he capitalized on. And boy, was he exhausted by the end of it. And that's the way it should be. A that was a perfect ending survivor, and he deserved that chance to show out for sure.
Yeah, I feel like he needed 10 minutes after that game just to catch his breath. Like,
100%.
yeah,
And I love the idea for that sitcom show with the Aussies and all the birds. I think I would call it Aussie 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 Fly Fly Fly, coming this fall on ABC right after the evening news. Super fun on both sides. I know we kind of tied a knot on Spring Valley already, but I want to say that I also enjoyed their late for work with Adina playing a kind of a boss bot kind of character.
yeah,
Boss
I love
bot
the
makes
bot for
noises of
sure.
skepticism. Yep. That was my thought. Super fun, and good work cobbling together on that one, Spring Valley. Pav response, yes. Uh, so many silly quirks to embody. I think everybody brought their absolute best effort forward. I feel pretty good. What do you say?
Think it's time to advance. the winner of this one to see who is playing Del Sol in the Final Four.
This is a pretty cool thing. Spring Valley, this would be the deepest you've ever made it. ATECH, you guys have been monsters all year, quietly creating awesome and memorable improv. I think both teams should absolutely be so proud of who they are as people, as a unit, and for what they've done in this crazy, crazy year. As Kopy clicks over to the bracket to reveal the cookie of who is going on, I hope you all know your value and feel great about who you are. The team that is going to advance is going to be the one, the only ATECH. Wow, congratulations, ATECH. Jonathan Perez and his beastly energy, with some amazing, amazing people around him. Absolutely. Savannah, Jessica, Sean, and Devin over there as well. Come play with us. I'm so excited that we're going to match up with you in the next round in our Final Four. It's an honor. You guys have definitely earned this opportunity to show your stuff in this very crucial matchup. And I hope that we have a very fun show. I know Song and I get along great. I know we're going to put together a great lineup for everybody to have the best show possible. This is a real feel good moment for certainly, I think, everybody incorporated with both teams. But Spring Valley, I absolutely love your spirit. Gordon, you're one of the coolest dudes. I hope you all of the success. And I really do hope you might find improv in your future ASAP after this. Kevin, you've been a wonderful fragment of this, having absorbed and developed so many awesome skills en route to a Rookie of the Year nod or nomination, I should say. Adina, you've got big things in front of you. There's definitely no doubt about that. So we'll talk on that soon. And M, absolutely. What an unbelievable year for M, a second team main stager, a most improved player nominee, and absolutely since the day I saw M, I knew, and absolutely that just came to happen. So congrats, M. We can't wait to see you on championship day. Do your thing. Congrats to a Spring Valley team. We will miss you. 100%.
And we'll talk about this in a moment, Warren, but you and now Coach Song are both going to your first Final Fours together as coaches.
Wicked.
So,
And
we'll talk about that.
Definitely couldn't have happened to a better coach. I mean, Song, such respect for you. I'm glad that we get to play each other. I'm so happy about that. Making our way over to the other side of the bracket, this had some super scintillating matchups, especially this next one. The matchup, I think I vocally said that if I'm not watching my own kids show, which I did, I'm watching this one. This is Durango and this is West Tech. And Durango has on paper or via the eye test been unofficially the team to watch this year. We've all been very loud about it. And West Tech has absolutely been the team to watch in these playoffs. Their energy has been stupendous. Their chemistry is palpable. They get a player back this week in Madison who was going to have a show after the confidence building experience that we saw earlier on in the bracket. We have Tabs. We have Hannah, who's another Rookie of the Year nominee, right?
Yep.
And we also have Iago, who impressed me with his hypotenusal comedy yet again this week. I knew
I bet you and Iago would be friends.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to be friends with me, so that's very, very big stretch for Iago. Challenge accepted. Come give it your best shot. I'll shower first. As far as the Durango team, they played a crackerjack lineup, like the lineup. If you want, Durango was respecting West Tech. They were here to play, bringing in another pair of second main stage members in Josh Ocampo and Alicia, whose last name escapes me for gifts.
Lemieux.
Lemieux. Thank you. I appreciate that. For having
or in American speak, Loomis. I don't know.
I'm docking points. What's your Hogwarts house? That's ridiculous. You're such a Hufflepuff. And on top of that, they definitely played some scary games, right? I saw Inception come up as the first game of the show, and I went, okay, I'm already sweaty. And yeah, man, I mean, no disrespect to anybody in this show, but that Inception was wicked, just wicked. Totally, it blew my brain open because they made it look simple. Like, holy cow, this is a very complex game that Durango took on, one that scares off many people. Hint, hint, not Del Sol. We'll see what happens. But they absolutely made it look easy with these really cool choices when they went into the subconscious, finding dreams that were just straightforward, not overcomplicated or awkward. I took notes, Durango, bless you guys, from Alicia reaching out of the closet to play tweezers that had been misplaced, to the second go around, those tweezers getting sucked into the closet in kind of a way, and then giving birth to the hair monster that, of course, Emmy making every positive and amazing choice possible in this show. Unbelievable. Emmy, your power just, oh, I just, I get it. Emmy's a student who just, I get it. I do. I promise. Just amazing stuff. But West Tech also had some shows that they were or games that they were excited to brush out. I love seeing Monkey Mirror this deep in the bracket. Just want to say that. Great physical commitment, especially for a team with a Maddie. Should be really engaging in quirky physical stuff, and that's what we saw. I was thrilled to see Dating App from both teams because both of them had distinct styles. And West Tech was the other Jeopardy team this week. And I couldn't wait to see what they would do with their personalities. We had Hannah box herself up under a desk, aka her invisible box as a mime. Super fun. We had Maddie as Cornelius, who was banished in a cabin for doing something to the government, as Maddie would later devise, and so fun. And Tabs was Grobble, practically your Lord of the Rings, sorry, Smeagol sort of reference. But what a cool person is Tabs playing a character like that. Honestly, like kind of left
Well,
field, kind of fun. Go ahead. Yeah, what do you think?
I don't even know where to begin on this one. I mean,
I know.
when you can walk away from a game and remember all of the characters' names like that, that means you did something right. And
Yeah.
and the judges loved it. I mean, Grovel alone spoke to Judge Greeny like on a different level,
Yes, he
right?
would appreciate that character so much.
So, so from Jeopardy to the whole actual show, this was actually the highest scoring show of the week. This was actually the highest scoring show of the entire playoffs so far.
That
Um,
was the correct answer.
yeah, and this did not disappoint at any level. The highest scoring show we've ever had in our Jesters history was a second round show, guys. So anyone who went out first or second, just know that, I mean, you can really make an impact no matter what level you are in this playoffs. And this is the third round of our playoffs, and we now have gotten to our highest scored show so far.
Phenomenal.
So on all levels, on all accounts that you're talking about, 100% right. I loved on the West Tech side watching freshman Maddie with these seniors, and just the maturity sometimes of seniors mixed in with the freshmen. It shows A, how strong Maddie can be, and B, how just well they all work together. There's true chemistry in how different they all are as individuals. And then when I talked earlier about Savannah and about a senior that I wish I had more time with, God, do I want more tabs?
I do. Yep, I do
Right. And
understand.
not just a week. So if you advance, not just a week more of tabs, just give me more tabs. You are operating at such a high, strong level. And this show is pure evidence of that. Your initial banter with Maddie as your dentures,
Yes.
right? It's I mean,
So good.
you kind of went on a little tangent, and then Maddie finally got a chance to react and go, "What? I don't have to go in your mouth?" That was, I mean, quote me on that. That's exactly what happened in that setup.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, we got all sorts of value there, and then yeah, you flip it over. Starting a show with Inception is a statement.
Woo!
You're absolutely right. You could break down everything about what Alicia did with that closet and the
Yep.
tweezers.
Yep.
Um,
Just so smart.
and even the sign off, like even Maya and Josh at the end, we're gonna tell each other what we're thinking right now. Okay. Okay, great.
Yes, great say something, same time finish. I wrote
Yeah.
that down.
So
Totally true.
just the power of that. And they kind of did that a couple of times almost.
Let's summarize Durango's effort at the same time, okay? On three. 1, 2, 3. Transcendent.
Buffalo.
Gosh
Okay.
darn it. Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
We won't do that again.
Uh,
Yep.
so and then yeah, you keep it going. I mean, even when they go from a game like Inception to a game that has a much easier concept, say like first line, last line, and still be able to keep those stories
Mhm.
flowing and keep us engaged. I
Yes.
mean, Durango's did what they've been doing all year, and all
Yeah.
four of
I will say though, one thing I took away from the show as a whole is that Maya's eyebrows and eyes are the most expressive in the league. And that is something that she has always been able to do, is turn the tone of a scene merely by a nonverbal reaction. And that is precisely why this student is completely on the level she is, because we feel everything. And there was so many ups and downs in Maya's character work, as far as the energy and the excitement and the sadness and then the fun. Like everything she did, you saw a different performance with her face. And that speaks so much volumes too to what Durango does. If you can do so much simply by changing your expression, folks on the other side of this, like just think about that. It's so powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's why she finds herself again in that MVP category. Is
Oh yeah.
she knows how to change the tempo. It's just something that's so natural for her,
Mm-hmm.
and they all know it, and they all know how to react. And for me, I mean, as good as Maya is and was and always will be, as and Emmy and Josh, Alicia was my champion this week. Just
Cool.
all these tiny little gold stars over and over and over
Mm.
again.
Mm.
I mean, the dad flip in the bar mitzvah scene. Uh,
Yes.
I just
Yes.
there were so many of those just subtle, just real
Mm-hmm.
subtle. Her and Maya coming in at the end of Miss Know It All as the parents,
Mm-hmm.
just how they made that so easy and smooth. It was as if they planned it, and it just so simple.
That moment was really interesting to me because of the storytelling strategies here. The two of them coming in to play that, after each of their individual characters had been laid out and stamped out by Emmy, they came in and borderline denied the entire story to that point and said, "Honey, come on now. You're not actually a moth. You really are a butterfly. Let's be real." And I'm thinking like, "Whoa, Miss Know-It-All's in a corner."
Right.
And they're really risking this reading as a denial. And then no, absolutely not. Emmy absolutely turned that scenario on its head as well and smacked the family members out of the situation too. And I was just once again reaffirmed that this team's storytelling was pretty cool on many levels in that game,
Right.
playing into patterns, but also the silliness of the entire scenario. And of course, ending with being stepped on was Emmy's gift to give on the way out, right? And bless Josh for catching it and making it a moment. It had to
Yep.
happen. And what a cool visual, genius idea for ending a scene.
Right.
Um, very well played. That was a very cool game.
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
you had a lot here to be entertained by. I mean,
yes.
I could just keep going on the comments. The judges love the monkey mirror setup.
Yep.
They're just like, man, this is a game I can actually watch again and again. There's so many things.
Dating app too. Nothing, no slouch too. Both teams had great rounds. Some of my highlights, of course, are Emmy's pregnancy joke. Actually, Emmy also did this. I'm Mark. I found the fifth dimension as she's spinning
Right.
constantly. On the West Tech side, there was plenty to appreciate as well. With multiple clever characters from Tabs, I have to say, loved Hannah being the moon to Song's son in this one.
Oh yeah, that was the gift that kept giving in that game.
Yeah,
I
that was
got a
really
handful of those.
Yeah, that was really good. And I love those quick games too, because you kids have so many very cool ideas. I definitely learned a lot from the way you all set up your jokes. So, really solid game overall. I knew this would be game of the week. I mean, I think we both knew. I think that both teams should be, as always, exceedingly proud of their effort. And I think I'm ready to see who won because there's a lot of love to give to both, but I literally can't wait for this result. Like, this could go either way for me.
You know what I could use right now? Like at this point, I could use just a pop-up of Tabs trying to sell us a candle. And like, yeah, that candle thing was such a good close. And
Yes. And the
could you imagine
shawl.
someone like being on a Tinder dating app and their purpose was just to sell candles and it wasn't to actually date?
Have you heard of essential oils, man? They're everywhere on
Oh,
Tinder
I
conversations.
don't know. I don't do any of that.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
my
Um,
bad. Let's move forward. Finding out
okay.
a yep,
I will
you're
take
clicking over. Okay, this is truly it. So this was quite a game that I think we all were so stoked to see. The game of the playoffs, we just heard it. To be in that company and to be able to be included in that circumstance for the week is always a plus. So please, either team, feel really great if you're walking away from this. Durango, we continue to sing the praises. You have so much of the power. You have four very strong players this week working very well together, but that's the same that could be said for West Tech with Hannah Spears' amazing poise. Truly, you do not look just like a rookie. You look like somebody who can be dominating for years to come. No doubt about it. Tabs, if this is it for you, boy, have I been, you're probably right, maybe your biggest fan this year just because of all the different things I think you can excel at in your life, which is a humongous compliment because there's plenty of people who can't perform to your level, let alone come across as people who are ready to take on life. So you're going to be fantastic if this is your end. And I can't wait to learn of your successes. Maddie, this is just the beginning for you. Aren't you happy to be this deep in the playoffs at this point? Like, please hold your head high. And of course, for our final player of that team this week, as I'm flipping through, my brain's freezing. That was Iago. Iago and I could be friends. I actually think I saw a little bit of my youthful improv brain back in the very couple first few years of improv. I saw that in you, Iago. And for better or for worse, man, that means you try stuff and you put characters out there and you have presence and you don't let yourself get forgotten. So you're welcome. I hope that you both feel amazing about this show. What a cool team or pairing of teams. Let's find out. Okay.
Moving on to the final
Oh, the final
four.
four is. Oh, my stomach is queasy. Durango again, squeaking by their toughest competition yet in the tightest and most amazing game of the week. Durango, respect. So much respect. Always and forever. You definitely earned a Final Four with this matchup behind you. And West Tech again. I am so in awe of the energy you brought this year. I mean, you helped me forget when I was watching your playoff shows. I forgot I was watching a screen. And that is genuine and honest. You kids did such an amazing job pushing yourselves and being creative this year and bringing that live show energy. And what a cool camp, big school, lots of hungry improvisers. Your future is beyond bright. Look for this team to pick up where the West left off next year when we have our original divisions back. Scary team to face. Scary, scary. But
We got one more.
we got one more amazing show, kiddos. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the breakdown so far, and what a show it is. As Cheyenne gets ready to take on the basically scene driven basic team. And Cheyenne's got a batch of quirky performers on that group that have really gelled in these playoffs, too. Sam playing, I mean, you could call Sam a wild card almost in any situation, but he played a smart show this week, I think, really finding places to maximize what he had to say. Kimura looked amazing this week, too. Very poised and glued into every scenario. DJ has always been that student who definitely knows how to connect things, so she was going to feel right at home here. And Susan's got one of the most interesting brains in the entire round at this point. And so this was going to be a big opportunity for Cheyenne to prove they could take on some solid storytellers who, may I say, probably just got better at storytelling this week with Jacob, Lily, Maya, and Evan again representing this basic squad. And this week, I was curious to see if Cheyenne could disrupt basics flow. And what were you excited about this matchup going into it? Two teams I know you're very proud of to see at this point in the playoff.
Yeah, so for me, these are probably the two most different teams out of the
Mhm.
four matchups. Um,
Right.
but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I think they've got different styles and ways they go about things. So I can tell you that the judges loved this matchup. That they really enjoyed both going back and forth and the versions and ways that they did some of these games.
Mhm.
So there was lots of conversation in this one. Maybe, yeah, maybe the most
Ooh.
conversation happened in this particular game.
Okay.
Um, so I mean, right out of the gate, uh, over at Basics, so they come out with Survivor,
Yep.
and
Another
now
potential.
remember I get the raw footage. So before it gets into the show footage, I get the raw footage. So the amount of time that was in between each scene of Survivor, where the coaches would mute their camera, and then I would watch those two have a conversation about what to do and who to like what to do in this scene to make the
Mm.
best choice possible. It seemed to have gone on forever. Like I watched more of them with their cameras muted talking and strategizing than I did of the actual game of Survivor. Um,
Interesting.
right. So I mean that's something you won't ever see. But if we watch the game, the execution level was really high.
Yeah, they
Um,
carried the energy over well.
really well. And I mean, they made the right choices as far as who to
Mhm.
move and when.
Mhm.
Jacob, super job, just trying flying back and forth in your house, taking on those spots.
Every
Um,
time he changed characters,
every
in his
time.
last one, he changed the view of the camera. So while it
Yep.
was dizzying, it was a perfect way to differentiate whom you were and also pay tribute to them. Like, great stuff. Very well done.
Absolutely. And I know we gave Sydney some love earlier, but I'm going to pass some more love to the current coaches here. So Cassie, in Cassie's case,
Mhm.
Cassie, I was her first coach as well. So for me, Cassie's definitely family, and I know how her brain works. And she definitely has like an X's and O's. This is how I need to do things. And I mean, talk about fitting into a perfect team that way,
Mhm.
and how that
Mhm.
relationship has matured and to where it's at. So Survivor for me was such a great example of who they are, and it was
Right.
a great way to start. So now we flip it over to Cheyenne.
Ooh,
Uh,
ooh, ooh, can I real
yeah,
quick? With
yeah,
Day in the Life of Cheyenne, I want to just say it was so refreshing to watch an actual full day in the life. When I see this game played, 9 times out of 10, we're only getting a story. And this Coach Cameron was the one who contributed. His story was literally a waking up to bedtime. And
right.
that gave these kids so many things they could play with potentially to create his day. And I love the different characters we saw in this. I mean, listing some of them out. We had dumbbells, we had a bed, we had a pillow, we had parents, we had a bird. Um, it's just crazy. Not to mention some solid Capricorn jokes. They deserve my girlfriend's a Capricorn, so we could talk some trash there. Just great stuff here from what they chose to embody. And by the way, Sam is so right about Brussels sprouts. It smells funny, man, every time.
Well, and I'll take the day in the life thing even further. And because I was talking about Cassie, I'll talk about Miley a little bit. So Miley, who is also family to me, part of my
Mhm.
AGT group. So Miley, what I love about Miley is that Miley will definitely seek out advice and try and get the most information she can to make an educated decision. So she asked me before she recorded Day in the Life this week, what version of Day in the Life I like the best.
Ooh,
And
smart question.
she did not take my advice, and most of the time Most of the time she doesn't. And she chose my least favorite version.
No way.
Yup. But exactly what you said is 1,000,000,000% right. I mean, the execution and how much they did with that. I mean, I was so happy to be so wrong. And
Yeah.
which is also another testament to this team and Cheyenne and Miley and these performers. I think it was either Susan or DJ that was like they were sweat glands in
I
the
was just
gym.
about, yep, that's
Like,
when I could
come
have
on,
mentioned
man.
DJ. Yep.
Come on.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, this was how we started the show, was with these
Right.
two games. So yeah, I mean, the conversations were running amok on the judging side. And then we could just go down the line doing the exact same thing. So, I mean, we might have to just summarize and paraphrase a little bit. My challenges this week were instant soap opera to basic,
Uh-huh.
and backwards scene to Cheyenne.
Uh-huh.
Um, instant soap opera because we've talked about in all these recaps how tough that's been for most teams. And said, well, if there's a team that could possibly learn it and textbook it, it's probably basic. And then for backwards scene, I mean, that is the best start to backwards scene I've seen all year.
Correct.
Just perished lovers. They went right for it. It was 7 seconds long. Miley made a great jump to the prior moment. Just
Yep.
the best way to start that game all year.
Yep.
Uh,
I understand. I agree.
so yeah, this one was also awesome.
Yeah. The instant soap opera, I remember watching and really trying to pay attention to all of the different gimmicks, biting your knuckle, the staring with intense eye contact, looking out at the audience, and splaying. Splaying's the toughest, aren't we agreeing? Because most of the time, if you're wanting to splay effectively, you're needing to move your camera perspective, which
Right.
is why I want to give big, big, big ups to some of the different adaptive ways they splayed, like Lily falling into the scene literally and saying, "I just tripped in your cornfield."
Right.
Great stuff. When when um when Jacob also got on the ground and said, "This is the land we're going to take over. This, like, let me impress upon you." Like, what a cool alternative to use it as a sales pitch instead of simply, "I'm knocked back and out of black." Like, it was clever. Very clever different justifications in this one from basic, and I probably the best instant soap opera I've seen in this digital age. So yay to that. Very, very fun scene. Great simple story born from those justifications. So I enjoyed it. Backward scene too, absolutely. Lots of fun choices made here. Sam's meditation method stands out to me for this one. I love DJ's commitment to performing her way in digital improv. She
Right.
hasn't lost sight of where she would be on a stage, looking at her different comrades and helping them to understand through her physical cues who she's addressing.
Right.
Smart player there. I really love DJ's brain for that. And I think Sam did a great job with the simple choice of wrapping his hair in his hands to help depict a child's like pigtails kind of
Right.
thing, bringing back that character multiple times to impress upon us that this is still a scene about, what it was about.
Right.
And yeah, I just thought, again, for this pairing of games, another really cool juxtaposition of philosophies and approaches, but two equally impressive games.
Right. Yeah, all the way around. Cheyenne, I think the one thing I appreciate about you the most is you truly laugh at each other and you truly enjoy each other. And
Yeah.
I think you all think each other are funny. And just to watch you guys break and try and continue your scenes, that's something that maybe a lot of improv coaches or even theater teachers will tell you not to do. And I couldn't disagree more. Go have fun. What are we doing
Yeah.
here, right? We're trying to have some fun. And you guys are fun and make me laugh out loud so hard. So,
As a coach, I've learned so much more of my teachings from being an audience member and what I love to watch. And I legitimately love to watch students struggle to laugh and not to laugh and feel that moment of reality where we appreciate what was just said and we crack just a tad.
right,
Like, that's one of my highlights. So, yeah, theater, sure. Improv, no. We're here to live and have fun and build together. And sometimes that means we're going to say stuff that, guess what, is unexpected and funny. So enjoy it. I agree. And then, of course, Emotional Party from Basic came up after that. And for kids who know how to be emotional, regardless of the suggestion, love seeing Maya bring the energetic character here.
Right.
Wonderful choice. And I love that she literally had to respond to her cat at one point. I have to decorate. What? Very fun. I did not miss that. Lily coming in with depression, and then Jacob brings such power so quickly. Oh, but Evan's narcissistic character. Oh man,
Right.
I wanted more of that. If I could just be honest, I
Yeah.
really liked what Evan's brain was doing with that role a lot. I loved what he did on the way out, finding a way to get over to a mirror and look at me. Hey, look at me. Look at that guy. Great work from Evan there. Super fun scene, right? Didn't you like their emo party?
Just textbook. I mean, they hit all the beats. The timing was right. I mean, they everything they do just seems to follow that same pattern and theme.
Yep.
So, you know,
And
at some point, we either got to stop and take a breath, or we might trip. That's just not something they've been doing.
no. And I really was thrilled to see for it's very rare in Emotional Party where the characters themselves are actually connected and have
Right.
relationships. So I loved in this one that it was justified into being like a family reunion scenario. I thought that was a very clever, and why not kind of move? Why not connect these characters so that there's almost stakes to their presence at the party too? You know, like that makes sense. So
Yep.
smart move there.
Yep.
And then 9 out of 10 from Cheyenne, right? Who doesn't love a bickering match to end the show? And you know, I really liked Kimura in this game too. I think her poise was really evident there. Um, Jim Carrey killing childhoods is definitely something I vibe with, including I saw Sam's yin yang necklace, man. he he's got a little bit of yun me too, because I used to have a yin yang necklace and I used to say everything about Jim Carrey. So I chuckled a little bit there. Sam's passing out during the game, you know. Well, Sam is out, so who's next? Like, just great job, Miley. I almost feel like Miley and Sam could have their own comedic duo as coach and player sometimes with how they treat each other.
Right.
It's just Miley's so nonchalant. It's like that's just Sam. Like I love that.
Right.
Um and good challenge from Sam with his Titan height suggestion. I remember that one kind of coming out at me because of the attempt of using literally flexible and made up details. That's what 9 out of 10 is always about. So yay, made up details. Let's go. Let's go. At least for me. And then loved Kimura's acting out of how a Titan becomes a blueberry. Great commitment there. Really fun moments in both games to end the show. I think this could have been pretty close as
It
a show, huh?
was. It definitely was.
Mm.
So I told you from the top, the judges talked a ton about this game. This was the smallest margin of victory for the weekend.
Uh-oh.
Of our Elite Eight, this is the smallest margin.
Ooh, boy.
I think maybe let's just reveal.
Yeah. So Cheyenne, we've said it all year, is such a cool Cinderella story. We seen them this deep into the playoff in the position that they're in. They have so much to celebrate and appreciate about one another as a team who will never be this exact four again. You just keep on denying a exit from this thing. Did you do it one more time? If you did not, excuse me, DJ, we love your soul and spirit, and we wish we could bottle it and offer it to the rest of the league to see well, what kind of energy we would love every student to bring to Jesters. You really do embody that. As a comedian, I would say Sam does too. He's just a goofy, fun guy. He doesn't take the riskiest decisions lately, despite his absolute ability to make anything a Sam Umholtz moment. He's very much himself, disguised as characters, and I love those kinds of presences on their teams. He's definitely great. Kimura, you've been a wonderful piece to this puzzle, making so many things work where they wouldn't have worked otherwise. And Susan, you bring such a distinctive perspective difference to what you bring to the table that it's always fun to see what your brain will develop next. And we look forward to more of what you bring to the table. On the other side, it's basic, right? All of these kids have been part of this program for what feels like such such a long time. They've been consistent. They've been cool like the other side of the pillow. We've seen Jacob blossom as the spice on top of everything nice that they give us. But boy, if Evan isn't capable of stealing moments, if Maya isn't capable of setting the perfect stage for a scene, and if Lily isn't the awesome extra, the second character. I always say the second character is so important in a scene. Lily being that second character to take what somebody says, digest it, and then do something different is one of Lily's greatest traits. And we've seen so much Lily, but never the same Lily. So this was going to be an amazing outcome, one way or another. Whose story continues, Kopy? We're ready.
Moving on to the final four to take on Durango is
Basic! They've done it! They advance on to the final four, a position they were poised for yesterday, or not yesterday, last year, before situations were dragged from them. So it is cosmic appropriateness that they're back. Cheyenne, take nothing as a knock towards you. What a fantastic story you've been. What a fantastic coach you have. We're grateful for the way you have carried your Desert Shield throughout the playoffs and throughout the year. Be proud of what you've provided as an example of entertainment to those who come ahead of you. There's still great brains who get to return and play, and this is nothing to feel down on yourselves for. You've had beyond an amazing run, wouldn't you say? And now,
here we are.
this is where we look at these two matchups and go, wow, what's going to happen next? And I guess while we're still here, we'll stay on this side of the bracket, if you don't mind, and say Durango, go ahead.
And basic, Durango basic,
Yeah,
sure.
Durango and Basic. With Durango and Basic doing their thing, I know these are the two teams who will have the strongest identity of what their players do together. Their chemistry has been evident on both sides almost since the word go. And while Durango's done an amazing job fostering new faces, Basic has just been tying the knots tighter and tighter and tighter. They've they've locked up so many amazing opportunities to see their way out of this thing and said, nope, not yet. Quite frankly, we're still here doing what we do. They're the most prepared for this challenge, I would argue, of any of us in the final four to face Durango next. I think Basic's the most prepared because of how well they write their own textbook. So this is a show of the week because it's impossible for it not to be. Durango's not going to disrespect Basic, and Basic is absolutely going to tell their best stories yet, bring their best energy yet, and I'm stoked. Can you think of a better, final four matchup on paper than that when we started all this?
I mean, you can never predict sometimes where it's going to go and how it's going to end.
Of course.
And now, I mean, if I'm feeding into their final four matchup, I think now it's going to be execution and how we execute. And I think that's our key on both sides. So we're talking about teams that really do their style well, really, really like so well that they're in the final four. I kind of made a comment earlier about, taking a breath or tripping or something like, I mean, is that going to happen? How are we going to execute at what level? So I think executions are key. So Durango, Coach Karina, Coach Cassie, you want tips from me? Those are my tips. What can you do?
And being an observant mind, watching these games and writing down everything I could to learn from and improve my own chances as a coach, of course, at this stage, may I suggest that both teams, Basic and Durango, had some things slip through their cracks this week. And now the some things that slip are going to matter more than ever. So it truly is execution. And honestly, when it comes to something like that, friends, it can go either way. So you go out there and do the do the you've learned to be, and do the you that you're proudest of, because you need to feel good about every game you put up against one another. This is a absolute logjam kind of tussle, I would think. This is going to be tight.
Yep.
Super tight.
And then we flip it over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Del Sol and ATECH.
Yes.
If I'm giving you my perspective on this one, I think before we even talk about X's and O's, both of you have to decide who you're going to play.
That's
I mean,
always,
that's a whole nother layer. And
yeah.
that then leads you to the next choice and the next choice. So, I mean, don't skip any of those steps. Coach Song, Warren, sir, don't skip those steps. That could go a long way for what could happen and who could eventually go to the championship. Because 2 of these 4 teams are going to the championship, Jesters World.
That's it? That's all you're going to say about ATECH and Del Sol?
I didn't say much more about Durango or Basic.
Yes, we're very excited. ATECH, I know we're going to put on a fantastic show. Can't wait to get with Coach Son and talk about that. And yes, the who we're going to play is very important for both teams. We have a lot of stories over at Del Sol that are excited to write beyond more than they've ever written before. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up and says, I want that spot. Go ahead and take it from me. I don't know what ATEC's scenario is quite as much, but I do know that they have some amazing chemistry. They have a live wire who will absolutely challenge us to be even more energetic. And not to mention, not just energetic are you, Jonathan, you are incredibly powerful, just so powerful. So we respect you guys. We're excited to play across from you. And yeah, let's get started and let's have an amazing Final Four. And we will be back next week with the results of that Final Four to discuss who are going to be playing in this year's 12th annual Jesters Championship live zoomed broadcasted experience, right? So do not lose sight of the fact that this is still an amazing story left to find a conclusion. We have been honored. I've been honored. Thank you, Kopy, and to the coaches panel, judges panel. We are excited for next week, and I'm excited for next week. So for all of us here at Just a Recap and with the Jesters universe, we wish you, the Jesters Court, a fantastic rest of your week. Good luck, everybody!